Friends, this 2 day series is not the ultimate. I'll try to give my best, whatever I can in this session, but let me start straight into the topic. So let me open up the folder. I guess yesterday was a great session, and thank you all so much, where I got a terrific response from everyone. And it was a great learning for me as well. Let me share the screen, a quick recap on what we achieved yesterday. What we did is we tried and understand, how we can have a shortcut for, the sum command, how we can, add each and every value. We used alt equals to for that. Then we learned how we can use comma to do a multi-selection. If I want to select this and then go with this, without using a mouse, we can use comma for that. Then we learned a very important command of Control G. And then finally in this sheet, we have learned a very important feature of Control Enter. That was what we learned in this particular sheet. Those who have not attended this session can always go to my YouTube link and can see that. You also have a case study for this. We have also learned count function, where we got to know the difference between count and count A, wherein count is basically to count the numeric characters and count A is for counting everything. Count A is not alphabet, it is everything. To only count the number of rows for alphabets, we need to do count A minus count. So that's what we learned yesterday. Paste spacer, we all know it's ESV. When we don't want to copy the formula, but we want to copy the data and not the formula. Then we use paste special, which is alt ESV. We have learned a very important feature on filters, how we can filter different things, and use subtotal. Now, what subtotal does is basically adds the filtered cells. It doesn't add the total set, adds the filtered cells. So we learned subtotal yesterday. Then we learned how we can, transition from a horizontal format to a vertical format, or from vertical to horizontal format using transpose function. And then we actually detailed out the go to special function. We tried and learned how we can use Control G to fill up all the sheets. We learned sorting a different way, a way wherein we don't sort these, based on A to Z or Z to A. We can sort it based on the way we want. Like if we want to sort it from January to December or December to January, we can do that. So any way we want the sorting. Now we cannot, we may not depend ourselves on the Excel to say, hey, Excel, you only allow me to sort it from A to Z and Z to A, or from small to large or large to small. Now we can do sorting of a data sheet based on what way we want. So that we learned yesterday. We learned cell referencing of how we can use $sign to fix a particular data cell and then use the formula for all the categories. We learned various versions of cell referencing. And then we learned text to column, wherein we are able to break a text cell, a data cell into two different columns. That's what we learned. We learned both the delimited format of how we can break this, and we learned the fixed width format on how we can do it. A fixed width format is one wherein we don't know a particular criteria or a common factor to divide the columns. Then we tell the Excel that we want to divide it the way we want. So it's a manual process of dividing the column. This is very much required when we want to break the cells and we do data cleaning. A lot of things we learned on data cleaning. We learned very importantly how we can clean this data file to have only the name or the first name. So we learned all of this, and then we went up and we learned, let me share this screen for you, which I guess is the second Excel. Let me pull that. Yes. Yes. So we tried and learned VLOOKUP yesterday. And what we learned is VLOOKUP is basically an eagle, wherein if I am looking for a particular employee ID from a table, like if this employee ID is required from a table, let's say I want to know this employee ID from this table, I use VLOOKUP, which actually goes to a data set and finds a particular data which we are looking for, and then brings the output of that whatever we want. That's where VLOOKUP becomes very, very important. We learned another very powerful command called index and match. So all of this you will see in that video, which has been done very slowly, and you will be able to do rewind and forward to learn all of that. But this case study, if you practice with that file, it will help you a lot. We have learned how we can do multiple combination. Let's say if I want to use product 3 with any locations, we get the value. So we learned this formula, how we can do that. And then we ended up yesterday with a dashboard wherein we can create a data chart using pivot table and dashboard. And as I promised, I will start again with this session. Why this session is so important? We'll start with pivot table. We'll try and cover SUMIF function today, and then if function. Now, all of this, like when I talk about SUMIF function or if function, all of this, what are we trying to derive over here? What we are trying to do in the pivot table is basically a visualization of a data set to get a report which is dynamic, which can be used for various decision making. That's the objective. And when we are using SUMIF or if function, we are again trying to give condition to Excel to say, if this is this, and this is this, and this is this, what is my answer? So it is trying to, you come up with multiple conditions to get your output the way you want. So we are trying to create some logical queries, just like what we try to do in VLOOKUP. We'll be learning that. And after spending 15-20 minutes on this, most of the time, like more than half an hour, I'll be spending on macros and Power Query with Power Pivot. What is a macro? We are going to detail when we get into the session. Is basically automating your steps. So today is going to be a little advanced, wherein we are trying to learn how we can take use of macro. And today, if you learn these macros, the basic macro, you will come back to me and say, I have automated more than 70 to 80% of my operations, which was taking so much of time for me. And now by learning these macros and utilizing that into my existing work, this has actually helped me a lot. And then once you learn this Power Query and Power Pivot, the kind of linking which happens with that and the automation which it happens, you will say that whatever I've learned in last 1.5 days, all of those can be covered through Power Query. That's like a Bible, a father of all the functions which we have learned so far. So let's get started with this. I'll do a quick recap on Power Pivot. I'll just brush this up, and then I promise you, as I promised yesterday, is once I start the new exercise, I'll go very slow and we'll follow each and every step what we are doing. But a quick recap on pivot table. Let's imagine if we have this data table and we want to select this table and we want to create a pivot table of it, we'll select the table by using Control A, insert pivot table. And then we open it in a new worksheet, or we can open it in an existing worksheet or on a particular location. So we can do all this whatever we want. Now there's a very interesting concept called add this data to the data model. We are not using this over here. Hold on to this. We are going to use this function in Power Query. Okay. And then definitely I'll spend 10 or 15 minutes for you. So I'll wind up at 5:15 and I'll spend 15 minutes to answer as many questions as possible. As what Rahul has said, those who have any questions coming up in their mind, they can put on Facebook or onto the chat over here and we can take it forward from there. So once we get this dashboard, kind of a canvas over here, we can, configure this to make it look like a drag and drop interface. When we'll say right click, pivot table options, display, and then we use classic. And as soon as I do that, my job is done. Now all I need to do is just hit drag and drop to get as many reports as I want. I'd like to thank all of you because we have a full attendance right now in this room. We'll get salary by division if I want. We'll hit division over here and we hit salary over here. If we do that, just at the click of a button, we get to know salary by division. So easy. You can go and practice. If you don't practice this, two things which is very important. First is to see this video, practice those case study which I have given to you. First thing. Second thing is that try and apply these techniques in your existing work papers. If you are not applying these techniques in your existing work papers, which you are doing for GST, for your tax workings, for your audit workings, it is not going to take you anywhere. You'll learn this, you'll like this, you'll say, Sanjeev, it's a great presentation, but after a week or two, you'll forget everything. So please make sure that you apply these techniques into your existing work which you are doing. So if you are doing this salary by division, it is quick. Now, what I will do is that I'll try and create 3 more columns or maybe 4 columns for this. Boom. So why I'm taking time on pivot table? Because then I will not repeat this, most of this exercise in Power Pivot, where I'll try to pull a Power Query and then pivot that, because the concept of pivot table will be clear to you. So I got all these 4 columns with the salary by division. I can always go back and change this to average. I can go back and change this to count. I can go back and change this to percentage of grand total. Now look at this report. In just 3 to 4 seconds, I get a report which might take me hours to build this report. And the data can be 1,000 data or million data. It will pull and create a report. In Power Query, you'll be learning that this report you can get from multiple Excel files. What we are going to see today is that if you have multiple Excel files, where in one Excel you have the inventory data, in another Excel you have the GL code for that inventory data, and the third one you get the purchase data for that inventory, and you want to relate all these 3 Excel and build a one single report, you can do that through Power Pivot. That is what we are going to learn today. But let's first focus on this pivot table. You get this table and you can always make it dynamic. I don't want to drag more on pivot because we have done extensively on this. But if I quickly make a pivot chart for this, I'll just go in and let's say I pick up any chart. Let's say this chart I want. Okay. I pick up this chart over here. I place it over here. And then if I come back to this pivot table and I insert a slicer to this, and what are the slicer I want? Let's say I want a rating, and let's say I want age. If these are the 2 slicer I want, I'll come back over here and look at this. If I click any of this, the entire data will be automatically, get updated with the selection which I do. Let's say I want to know this entire thing for rating 2 only. See, the graph and the data changes automatically. And if I want to know only for the age of 30 years, I get one person with the rating 2 and the graph. So this is how you can have dynamic dashboard for all the, I can have multiple selection. I want 2 and 4 only, rating 2 and 4. So in all the changes which I do, I can update my pivot. Now, this is what is the expectation of clients today and the future clients. Nobody's going to look into your long, hard workings of Excel. Client today needs to know what if, an analysis called what if analysis. How will I perform if I grew by 5%? If I create an additional product? If I, take a bio-make model? So various decision making is involved, and this is where our role is going to come up. Gone are the days where we are only going to work on historic data. I always, discuss in my conference, there are 3 ways of looking at things. One is hindsight, one is insight, and one is foresight. Now, what hindsight is, basically, hindsight is something working on the historical data. And that, I guess, 99% of we as chartered accountants are doing today. We are working on historic data. A data from where we are doing compliances are all historic data. Insight is basically when you are analyzing this data and creating a meaningful report to help in decision making. And this is what we are showing you today, how you can create insights of the data which we have, which is called as infographic report, a graphical report, an information in a graphical format is what we call as insight. Client loves that. They want to know in one page the entire health of the organization, and that is only achievable through insights. The third thing which we have started working on, and many companies are doing it, is foresight, which means you are looking into the future. You are looking into the predictions and predict that, after a year and in the month of June, you will be having cash flow issues. This is how your revenue trend line is going to be. This is the budget which you need to do. This is the number of employees you need to, employ after 6 months, because there is going to be a gap over there. A little of artificial intelligence, a little of foresight, where your role is going to come up. And there are many courses which will help you how you can create foresights. So these things are going to become very important. Let me see if there's anything important on chat. Yes, there are questions coming up. So yes, now this is what we have seen yesterday. Now let me start my session as I promised. From 4:15, I'll start this. I'll take 15 minutes on the balance session, and then I'll spend 30 minutes exactly on entire macros and Power Query. All right. The next thing which we are going to do today is SUMIF. Now, what is SUMIF all about? It becomes very important when you're trying to, have a sum, a total of a particular data based on certain conditions. This is the objective. SUMIF is how we can sum this data. Now, right now we know that alt equals to will sum this up. But if I only want to sum it, if I don't want to use filter, the alt, if I want to use filter with subtotal, is actually equals to SUMIF. If you understand this properly, filter with subtotal is meaning is where filter is creating that conditions, and then subtotal is adding up those data which matches those conditions. If I don't want to use filter with subtotal, I have an option called SUMIF, which means if I pick up this GL code and I say, show me the total of GL code for this data. So I've got 5105 repeated so many times over here, and I want to filter this out and then add this up. We can use this with SUMIF also. So the formula is very simple. I've already got the answer, but I'll do it for you. Equals to SUMIF. SUMIF, which means sum the value for a particular condition. So I'll use SUMIF. And then, it's saying range, criteria range. This is going to be a little harder for you. I'll give you an easy way is there's an option called fx function. You call, once you write in SUMIF, you call this function, and it will help you do it very easily, because that will not give you a mix. The first question it is asking is range. Now, what is the range? Range is basically the service wages. This is basically my range. So what I will do is I'll select over here, I go to this sheet, and I will type in from this range. This is the entire range which I'm searching for, right? Coming back, I will just hit F4 to lock it, which we have learned in cell referencing. So it is calling a different sheet and it's taking the entire range, for which the range is something, the area which I'm looking for as a condition. The second question is, what is the criteria? Well, that is easy. The criteria is 5105. Boom, done. And what will I add if I find this criteria from this particular range? These are three questions. So the sum, I'll go back to this sheet again, and I'll say, yeah, if I click over here and I want to go to the top, what is the shortcut? It's control up arrow key. It's control up arrow key, right? So I'll go down, just make very sure. This is very important. Listen to this very carefully. Wherever you have taken the range, like the range we have started from B2 to B58, your sum range should be exactly from D2 to D58. It cannot be a different one. Like you cannot have a sum range to be from D1 to D58 or D2 to D59. Then the answer will never come. So the range, the sum range and the criteria range should be one and the same. Just remember that. Control Shift down. Let me delete this again. And what I did is I select over here, Control Shift down, Shift up, because I don't want to take this total, right? D2 to D58, if you see that. And I will hit F4 again and OK. That's my answer, 48026.7. It automatically filters that. Now, if I want to know if this is the right answer, I can always go and do a filter for this. As I said, filter is another option. And if I do that, and if I want to do a alt equals to for this, which we learned, right? And I'll take this total, control up, control shift down, right? Enter. See, it's the same answer. As I said, filter with subtotal is actually equals to a SUMIF function. And now if I copy this, see the beauty, why then the question will come, well, filter with subtotal is very easy. Why at all we will use SUMIF? Well, filter will do one at a time. So you take one condition, you do, and then you get the formula. If you want a situation like this where you have multiple codes and you want this formula to be copied, this is more of a formula. You can simply drag and drop over here, and then you can get a total for this. So this is how you can create journal entries based on certain criteria. We do this a lot of times when we are trying to have a template for payroll, and we had certain GL codes which we want to match and come up with a total. In that case, this becomes very important. Right? It makes sense for all of you? Great. Let me see a yes from here. I think so far so good for everyone. Great. Thank you, Arvind. Let's move further. And we can always total this. And so the same way we can do it for location also. If I want to do the similar thing for location, I write in equals to SUMIF. And then I will call this function. I'll take the range. I'll go a little fast now because now we have understood the concept. I'll take the range. Now this time my range will be location and not the service, the GL code. Sorry, let me clear out my filter. Let me close this again. Go back here and clear my filter because then it will not give me the right result. Yes. I'll come back over here, write the formula again, equals to SUMIF. Hit the function, go for a range, come back over here, click anywhere, control up arrow key, one cell down, control shift down. Boom, done. Okay. Now F4 to lock this cell. My criteria is location 1, right? My criteria is location 1 and my sum range is the same as what we have just said. I'll go back into this. I'll click anywhere, control up arrow key, one arrow down, control shift down, and then shift up because I want only the data till 58. And as I said, I need to make sure that the cells which I have used in the criteria range and the sum range are one and the same. F4, okay. It gives me the total. Great. I copy this total and I paste it over here. I can drag it and I get all my data and I can total this data. This is how you can do SUMIF if you want. And this becomes very, very important once you have multiple conditions and you want this to happen. Let me see if anybody's saying anything. Good. Now, this is one condition. Now, let's go a more further on this. If I have multiple conditions, well, now I want 5105 and with location 1, which means I want to do a journal entry separately for each and every class. I want a journal entry for each and every class, Sanjeev. So how will I do that? You have told me only to do with a GL code or with a location. But what if I want 5105 with 3 different locations as a separate entry and I want to code this by location, by class? So I want a journal entry like this. I need multiple conditions. I'm just trying to show you with 2 conditions. You can go up to as many conditions as you want. So let's try doing this. In this case, we are not going to use SUMIF. We are going to use SUMIF S. When you add an S to it, it means you allow multiple conditions to it. So equals to SUMIF S. We pick up this. Now here the entire process has changed. Let's understand what this process is. Go to the function. Now it is asking me, instead of a criteria range, it is first asking me the sum range. What am I going to add? All right, I'll do that. I'll go back here and my total is here. So I'll say this is my sum range. Fair enough. Come back. I'll take this as a data, right? D2 to D15. We all know that. We have taken the sum range. Now the second question is, what is my first criteria range? Well, my first criteria range is the GL code, right? So what I will do is that I'll go back to this table and I'll take the table of my GL code. I'll come back here and I will take the GL code as my first criteria, B2 to B58, done. And I will hit F4 again. Just make sure to use F4 every time because your formula will change. Now, what is my first criteria? Well, my first criteria is this, 5105 service wages regular. My first level of work is done, right? And I got this 48,000. But that is not what I want. I want this 48,000 to be broken into 3 different locations. Location 1, 2, and 3. So I need to put additional condition into this. Let's go with the additional condition. My second condition, the second criteria. Coming back over here, I can go back here and this time I will take the location. Control up arrow key, shift 1 down, control shift down. And I see it's C258, enter, and then use F4. Great. And what is my criteria? My criteria is location 1, right? And if I press enter, it comes up with the total. And then if I copy this down, let me see what wrong did I did. Okay. Okay, this is fine. Why this is not coming up? Sum if. Let me see the formula. So my first condition is, so sum if, all right, it becomes D3. Why it becomes D3? Because maybe my first one didn't have the formula right. Let me see. That's the reason F4 becomes very important. Okay, if you see over here, we have all this dollar, but D2 doesn't have a dollar. That's why this problem happened, right? Good. Let me see if I, yes, exactly. Thank you all so much. I have a lot of Excel Pro to help me also. So this is how I also learned from all of you. So we have the now fixed D2, we have fixed B2, and we have fixed C2. All of these are fixed. My criteria is fixed. I hit OK. I got this answer. And if I copy this down, boom, wow, we got this. And if I total this up only, it is my 48,000. And now I have broken this by location also. This, I'm telling you, is going to be so important for you. If you just learn this and practice in your GST work papers, it is going to help you so much. This you can go on and on and on with as many conditions you want. You can add more conditions to it, though it is not there. But if I add more conditions, I can always go and do that. If I click over here, hit tab, it adds another criteria range 3, criteria range 4, criteria range 5. You can go on and on as many times as you want. This is so far as your sum if s is concerned. Anything important? Yes, good. So let me start with if again. Again, another conditional statements. If. Many of you may be knowing it, but this is many times helpful when you're trying to create a multiple conditions, a condition wherein, all right, if I give you a condition that everyone which is from 0 to 17 is called child, and everyone, let me delete this for you so that you don't see this. If anyone in the range of 0 to 17 is a child, and anyone who is 18 and above, either 18 and above, is adult. If this is the condition and I want to know whether it's a child or an adult, I'll say equals to if. Boom. What's my logical test? My logical test is the age. Now, what is age? If age is greater than equals to 18, right? If that's my objective, age is greater than equals to 18, comma, I will put in a quote. I'll say it's adult, because it will not take the text. For taking the text, I need to put it a code. Now that's my first condition, and my second condition is simply I'll type in child. For anything other than that, it's going to be child, because 18 and above is an adult, and anything after that, I'll just type in child. That's a very simple condition we can do. You can close this, close bracket, right? Enter, child. Now, if I copy this formula down, I can always, convert this. See, 15 is a child, 20 is an adult, 50 is an adult. So this is how you can create logical statement with if command. And you can even do for multiple conditions. Here, there was only a single condition. If you want to create if within a if, so you can have multiple if command into a single command. You can even do that. In this case, I'm trying to say 0 to 17 is a child, 18 to 59 is adult, and 16 above is a senior citizen. Let's try doing this. We'll say equals to if, and what we'll do is the first test is the age, comma, and then I can say greater than equals to 60, right? Now, what's my first test? If it is greater than equals to 60, it's going to be a senior citizen, right? So I'll type in senior citizen. Okay, I can do any way I want, but this can be one of the way. My second condition, value if false. So value if true means if this condition meets, it's a senior citizen. What is the value if it is false? Well, I don't know. It can either be child or an adult. Now I have two possibilities over here. You know, if it is 60 and above, I know it's a senior citizen. But if it is less than 60, I don't know. So I will create another if command over here equals to if, because now again a nested if is coming into play. If, and then I'll tab this, again I'll call the age, and this time I'll say if it is less than equals to 17. Now what is the answer going to be here? Can anybody say me? If it is less than equals to 17, what's the answer? Yes, child, good. So I'll say if it is less than equals to 17, it's going to be child. So I'll open the quote. I'll type in child over here, close the quote. Okay, great. And what if the value is false? Not only the last option left, which is adult. So I will say adult, right? I close the bracket. One close for this particular if and another close for the outer bracket. So make sure you will be closing both the brackets. And this is how you can create multiple conditions. You can go as long as you want, by this if. You can create 5 conditions, 6 conditions, and you can try to create a little program for this. Enter. And if you copy this formula down, see, for 60 it's senior citizen, for 20 it's adult, for 15 it's child, for 50 it's adult. Yes, anybody saying anything? Yes, great. So this is how it automatically becomes bold, and then we can get to know, yes, I'm getting help from a lot of team members here. So if it gets bold, which means it is actually closing all the brackets and there is no formula error. So this is how you can definitely create an if and nested if. That's all I wanted to cover in this advanced Excel. And the favorite topic for today, what we are all waiting for, is macros and Power Query. Let's get into that. Let me start with macros. Let me first share the folder to you because I know that I have to share this. So let me create a new share to this folder. Yes. Now macros, so many a times we get carried away or we get intimidated with, wow, I don't know macros. How will I do macros? What is all about macro? Macro is nothing. Whatever number of actions you take on an Excel, it records that action and then it just repeats that action. So imagine a situation if you are having a very unorganized data and you're performing 10 different actions, like making it bold, making it underline, creating a column. You're doing 10 different actions and you're recording that into a macro, and then you try and use another sheet, it will repeat the same action without you doing it manually. So it's like a bot, it's like a robot, which is actually a very small robot. Macro higher version is called bot, which we have been using in our office. I'll just give you an explanation. What bot does to us is that today what is happening is, imagine a situation that we switch on the bot for a payroll automation process. And what it does is it goes into our computer, switch on our machine, goes into the payroll site, pulls the payroll for us, and then goes to the Excel, create the journal entry, and journalize the entry, goes back into our accounting software, post the journal entry, and send us an email confirmation at the end of the day without us involving into it. So these kind of bots are getting created wherein the entire GST compliance can be automated through bot. But just the lower version of bot is a macro, which I'm going to show you today. What macros does. So let's do a first case study on deleting data. Let me see if you are seeing this screen. Yes, I want to share this. Okay. So these macro files, I guess, are not shared because there's nothing to share on this. But yes, I will also share this file. I just forgot that, so I'll share this to you. But there's nothing to practice on. It's just to watch and understand the concept. So if you get this file as a macro, let's imagine this is a small file. Please understand, the concept of macro. And I'll go very, very slow. Please don't, make very sure that, I'll not rush into this. On macros and Power Query, I'm not going to rush. Now I'll take a first step. Macros are done in 3 different ways. The first way is to record a macro, where we manually do a recording. The second way, let me make it bigger for you, just to read it. Record a macro, if you can see this. The second way is, using VBA code 2. I'm going to show you a demo of that as well. And the third way is, writing a VBA code. We are not here to write a VBA code. So I'm going to do the first 2 case study. And if you learn both of these in another 15 minutes, this is something which we are going to achieve. So these 2 we are going to cover: how we can record a macro and how we can use VBA code to run a macro. These are 2 things which we are going to learn today. What I'm going to do right now is the first macro which I'm going to do over here is recording a macro. Now what I'm going to do is that, imagine a situation if I get this employee file with the GL code and with all the data over here, and the formula is right over here, right, which is summing up this entire total. So I've not done anything on macro right now. I'm just trying to explain you the concept. And then every time when I take this template, I have to delete all this file, right? This is what I have to do every time. But then while doing this, at times what happens, some of my team member goes and delete this also. Sometimes don't delete this. So there's always an error. I wanted to write a macro for this small little thing which says that, hey, every time we get a new sheet, you run this macro and the entire data will get deleted. A very small little macro. What I will do is that I'll go into view. Let me shift the screen over here. There's an option over here called view. If you don't have macros enabled, you have to go into file. You have to go into options. Under options, you will see customized ribbon. And there you will see an option called developer. You click on that and you will get a macro, right? So this is available in all the latest version. So let's start recording. So I'll say record macro. You have to click here and you have to give a name to it saying delete data, whatever name you want to give. Make sure that there is no space in between. And it is case sensitive. So whatever you do, this is delete data, whatever name you give, there should be no space in this. And you may want to create a shortcut for this as well. Hit OK. As soon as I hit OK, whatever actions I do in this Excel sheet is going to get recorded by Excel in a macro. OK. Now what I'm doing over here is that I'm saying Control Shift right. No, I just want I want this cell, and then Control Shift down. I'll push this down. Right. I'll come up over here and I hit delete. That's all I have done. Easy. And I go back over here and I stop recording. What I did is I manually deleted the whole data under a record macro and I stopped the macro, right? So this macro is recorded. Let me go back to the same sheet again. I've just copied this for the understanding purpose. This is the same sheet what we had in the past. Now this time I got a new template with the data filled in for the last payroll and I want to delete this data using macro. So what I will do is that I'll straight away go over here. This time I'll go to view macro and I already have a macro which I've written called delete data. All I need to do is that hit run. Watch here. If I hit run over here, it deletes this. See, the first action was recorded. And that's why I need to do it again. It runs again and it's taking each and every steps. So this was not right. Let me do it again. I want to delete all because of my actions. It is taking several steps because every time when I was doing it, it was doing the same way. So let me do it again for you. Right. This was my data. Let me see if this sharing is happening. Yes, it is shared. Okay. And let me see if I have a macro over here. I don't have a macro because I have not saved the macro. I'll do it again. I'll go back here and I'll say record macro. And I'll write in delete data. Okay. And this time I'll be very, very sure that I'm copying this and simply taking this whole thing and delete. I'll go back and stop this recording. I'll come back over here and I'll run this macro. Right? We got this data, run, boom. At one single click, the entire macro is deleted. So now you don't have to repeat this function. This is a very small feature, but imagine this type of 20 actions or 100 actions you have done in Excel. With one click, you can simply close it. If I want to assign a button to that, I don't want to go into macro and run the macro. I want to click a button over here. I can go and still do that by just going into the developer tab, and there is an option called insert. I'll take a button from here. I'll go to developer, insert, and I will create a button over here which says, this is a button which I will say called delete data. And I will say this is assigning the macro over here. Okay, the button comes over here. If I want to simply, type in the name, if I want delete data, and I want to create it, it comes with delete data as a button. The same macro is assigned over here. I've created a button over here. If I click over here, the entire things get deleted. It's the same thing by just creating a button instead of going into a macro and then hitting run over there. So this is a very small little demo of how you can record a macro on your own by just deleting this data entry. Let's do, I have 4 case studies for you in this. Let's do another case study. Let me see if I have any chat right now for this. So it will go on, Sandeep, it will go on. I'll go back to more questions, but let me take you to another case study, which is a case study on, let me share this screen for you. This is a case study on splitting table by column. Let's see this. This is going to be very interesting. Let me close all other files which is not required. Okay, so this time what I do is with the same data file. Now please understand this case study. What I'm trying to do is that I want this entire service wages 5105, all the data related to service wages to be coming up as a separate sheet, office wages to come as a separate sheet, and management wages to come as a separate sheet, which means what I want is, let me make you understand, data filter. I want this table 5105 service wages. This entire sheet should come as a separate tab. This is my objective. I want this entire. I'll be sure.
Yes, the sheet is not visible. Sorry to interrupt.
I forgot that. Sorry. Let me do that for you. So confirm me if you are seeing this sheet now.
Yes, now it is visible. Thank you.
Good. Great. The objective over here is, if I have a sheet over here, let me open this again for all of you. If I have this sheet again, and the objective now is that for every data change in GL code, I want a separate sheet, which means I want for service wages regular, a separate sheet, for office wages, a separate sheet with all the data related to it, and for management wages, a separate sheet. If that is what I want to write a macro for this, that whenever I get a cluster of data, it automatically runs the macro and break all the different data into multiple sheets. If that's the objective I have, I can write a macro for this. This time we are using a case study of VBA code 2. Now please understand what VBA code 2 is. Every macro which we have recorded actually turns into a VBA code. Even the macro which we have recorded for deleting the data from the table, that in the backend has created a macro, a VBA code. So we can always go back to Google and find the VBA code. Let me share this screen for you for the Google. So I'll simply go to google.com. This is what you need to learn to take help of VBA code 2. Now you will see billions of VBA code 2 already written for all your objectives. You just need to remember what you want. You want to unprotect the sheet. You want to remove duplicates. You want to open an Excel file. There are thousands and thousands of VBA code already written. In this case, We want to know VBA code to split table by column. I want to split this table by column. I click over here. I go into the first one. You can go into anyone, you'll find the code. I'll just make sure that this is a genuine URL. You know, this is giving a right example where there are multiple names and it is broken into different sheets. Great. I'll come down. I'll see my code over here. This is the code. This is a VBA code. I don't need to even understand this. I'll just copy. Just make sure that you copy from sub and you end with end sub. These are two things which is very important. Don't leave anything in between. Otherwise, this will not work. Just copy this whole thing, Control C. Now go back to your Excel and let me share that for you again. Yep. It is shared. Mayur, let me know if anybody don't see it. And then you go back to your macros, view macros. This time you are not recording a macro. You are, just creating the macro. So view macros you go into and you create a name for this. My name will be split table. I can create any name, give any name I want. I'll give a name to it and hit create. Now it comes with a blank screen of VBA code with an editor. I don't need to get intimidated with this. I just delete this and copy the code which I have written. Simply copy the code which I have written over here. I don't need to save it because it gets auto saved. I close this button. Boom, done. So my macros is recorded. Now all I need to do is that run this macro. So I'll go back into view macros and I see there's a macro already over here. Now see what I will do. I got this macro. I run this macro. Now once I run this macro, what it's saying, please select the header row. Now this is my header row. Control Shift right, done. Okay. And select the column you want to split data. This is the column which I want to split the data, my column B, which is the GL code. Okay. As soon as I hit OK, it breaks into 3 different sheets automatically with all the data. Now this sheet is having only the service wages. This sheet is having only the office wages. And this sheet is having all the management wages. Imagine you have got a single data file with multiple things and you want to break that into n number of sheets. This is the best way and you get the code. You have not done anything. You just went into Google, find, get hold of that VBA code, try and paste that VBA code into a macro and run that macro. And once this macro is saved, every time whenever you do these things, you just need to hit run macro or you need to create a button for that. That's all you need to do. So this is the second case study which I wanted to do for all of you. Let me see the third case study. Yes, unhide all sheet and create index. So let me open that for you and then I'll share this Excel as soon as this gets open. Right. So let me share this Excel for you. Yes, it is shared. Good. So this sheet, if you see over here, now the beauty is you can go and manually hide all the sheets at one go. In Excel, the possibility is that you can hide all the sheets in one go. How you can do that is by hitting Shift and the last sheet. You can select all the sheet and you can hide all the sheet. But to unhide a sheet, you have to do it one by one. That's the problem. And that sometimes gets very irritating. You want to create a macro where all the sheets of the table, which means this is a security measure. If you are getting a file and you want to know what are the sheets which are unhidden, you can simply write a macro, run that macro. All the sheets which are there in that Excel file will come up, which means kuch chupa ke nahi rakh sakte aap. So Excel has a power where you can hide all the sheets. So I select all the sheets and I hit hide. Right? So all my sheets are hidden. Now what I will do is that I'll write a macro over here. Let me find that macro because I'll use a VBA code. So I'll go back to google.com and I'll share the screen for you how I will do that. I'll go to new share. My screen is there. Good. I'll say VBA code to unhide all sheets. See, it's already there. VBA code to unhide all sheets. I go into the first one. And I scroll down and I look for that code. I got that code right over here. I select this code, a very small little code. Don't get confused. It can be as long as possible, as short as possible. Control C. I go back to my Excel. Just make sure that you guys are looking into my Excel. Yes. And then what I will do is that I'll go into my macros, view macro, unhide sheet. I'll create a macro called unhide sheets. I hit create. I delete this sub and end sub and paste the code which I have copied from the Google. Close this. And then if I want to run this macro, view macro, unhide all multiple sheets. I don't have any sheets open right now. I hit run. It brings up all the sheets together. This is so powerful. This is how, what the objective over here is to make you accustomed to using VBA code. One more quick example on this, and then we'll run to Power Query, is what if I want to, let me close this. Let me close this as well. Yes. Create index of all sets. Now this is at times very useful when we are trying to, combining worksheet. I'm going to show you Swaskar in Power Query. So imagine a situation where you have multiple sheets. Let me see if I've shared the screen for you. Yes, it is. So you have multiple sheets like VLOOKUP, you have your masters, your employee file, your customer files, and you have multiple sheets. And you want to create an index of all these sheets and link that with all these sheets. If that's the objective, you can create a macro for this as well. Very simple. You go back to Google and find the VBA code for that. It's very quick. Let me see if I have this screen shared. Google. I just need to make sure that you don't miss this. VBA code to, again, now it's going to be repetitive for all of you. Create index for worksheets. VBA code to create index for worksheet. I'll go into this particular link and I'll copy this sub function. Okay, Control C. I'll go back to my Excel. Just make sure that you are seeing my Excel. Yes, you are. And then I will simply, now imagine wherever your cursor is, that's where the index is going to come. So place your cursor wherever you want this index to come. Let's say I want this index to come here. I go to view, I go to macro, view macro. I'll create an index as a macro name, create. I delete this. Just make sure that you're deleting. Don't paste things over this. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Control V. Close this. Close this. And then as soon as you go to macro and run this macro, it creates all the index. It was there in the beginning over here. It creates all the index for all your data sheets, all your worksheets over here. It creates the index. And if you click on anyone, it takes you back to that index. This is how quickly you can create the index. If I want to create the index here as well, I can go here, run. I can get this over here. So this is how you can create macros using VBA code 2 and using record macros. These are all the ways which you can do that. Now let's move further to Power Query, which is the most important subject of the day. I'll show you two important case studies on this, which are going to be very, very important. The first case study is unpivot columns. Just 1 second. Just to make sure that I open the right Excel. I'll share that for you. Yes, I've shown that it's a Swaskar, it's there in your YouTube file. Basically, you need to go to Developer tab and there you will see Insert option and you can select a button and assign that macro with that, that button so that you can see that. If I get a time left, I can go back and show you again. Let's first see this Power Query, which you can always go into YouTube and you can rewind and see this again. So imagine you have a table like this. Now what is happening over here? You have a column. Please understand this very carefully. And this is like a great blessing for all of us. This is a great blessing for us. And I'll explain you this Excel in a very simple example. Let's say you have got, apple over here and you have a banana over here, and you have let's say a rating over here. These are ratings. So you have A rate and B rate over here. And let's say you also have C rate over here. And you have a score over here, which is 70, 35, 20. And this is coming to 50, let's say 42, and this is 15. Now this data, if you want to do a pivot table, it's not going to work. Why? Because you have multiple columns. Let me tell you what I'm trying to say. You want to know something like apple and banana. You want a data something like this. Now Apple has got apple with A and banana with apple with A, B, and C, and banana with A, B, and C, right? A, B, and C, and banana with A, B, and C. Many combinations. And then you want to copy this down. You want to copy this down. You want to delete this. And then you have this table right now with you. Control C, right click, paste special, transpose. Okay. And you want to copy this, Control C. For just this small table, sorry, it took me so many steps to get this together, right? And then only it will allow me to create a pivot table. Now, these are the possible combinations, 6 combinations from this data set. And you have to take so many steps to get this table like this, look like this. Otherwise, you will not be able to make a pivot table of this. Imagine a table like this where you have so many combinations and you want to create multiple conditions for all these locations. Like this is location 1, location 2, location 3, location 5, location 9, and you want to create service expense for location 1, then service expense salary from location 2. How will you do this at a click of a button? That's where Power Query becomes very, very important. And I'm going to go into Power Query right now. So once we see this Excel, we say this is a table. This is not actually a table. We need to convert every Power Query into a table. And the way we can do that is we'll say get data from, if I say get data from table, it automatically selects this entire selection and it converts this into a table. You can also do that by using Control T, which is a table format. And yes, my data has headers. So I'll say OK, and it creates a table and it calls a Power Query editor file. Again, to enable this function, those who doesn't have, you again go back to options into customized ribbons, and you need to enable your Power Query and your Power View to get this. Now, if you see over here, this is like a big thing for you. I'll go very slow right now, don't worry. You will see so many things. You can change the data type, you can split columns, you can group by, you can keep rows, you can use first row as header. You can if you see the transformation function, I can spend a week training you on Power Query. It has got so many features into it which covers all what you have learned in Excel. But right now, let's focus on the objective. Our objective is to include all of this location as a single data file. We have 259 rows right now with all this data. And I want to, just convert this into multiplied by 5 different rows. So it should come to roughly around 1300 rows for me. I want to do that. That's where we need to use unpivot column. This is such a strong blessing for us. The only thing which I'm going to do is that I select this table, hit shift, select all these 5 tables which I want to unpivot, which means I want to bring this down under. If you see over here, whatever I do, it comes as a step over here. And instead of using Control Z, I can always go back and change this. I'll show you more in the next case study. But right now, I want to unpivot all of this. All I need to do is that I just select all this and I hit unpivot column. Please watch the magic. If I hit unpivot column over here, which is under transform, I go and unpivot this and hit this button. At a click of a second, it has converted 999 plus rows, which means it has come back to 1300 rows for me. Now it has classified into 1, 2, 3, 4 location. and it has given. I can always go back and change this name to location. No, I can, so this is case sensitive, so I need to make this location. And now I can do any pivot of this. Now this data is already here in a query table. I can go back and load this table. Go back and load this, close and load too. So this has become a table structure, and I can go back and load this into a table format. I can do a pivot chart of this. I can create a connection, which means I don't want this to be loaded into a table. If I want to have multiple files working together, I'll create connections, and I can add this to data model if I want a pivot chart. But right now, I just want a table of this. I'll hit OK. And boom, all my data is right over here in a table format. The beauty is that if tomorrow, if I go back and change anything over here, this will automatically be updated. This will automatically be updated by hitting refresh. That's the power of table. So now I can make a pivot chart of this. This is how, and if you see over here, if I hit Control Shift down, I get this 1296 rows with all the location as a separate row for me. You can never do this manually in any Excel feature except in Power Query. Let me show you another very interesting power of Power Query. This is, I know this is a little advanced for all of you, but let's understand this case study. Now, this is a case study wherein a situation is there where every month, please listen to this very carefully, every month I'm preparing a management report for my client. Let me show you one Excel on this. Let me just make sure that you're seeing this screen. Yes, you are. So if this is a report you are giving every month with the same format, let's imagine this is the same format for January. You are giving this report to your client every month, and you have separate Excel file for every month. Now the client comes back to you and say, you know what? You are giving me report for every month's data. I want a cumulative report, a report showing me the analysis for all these 11 months. You want to automate this. Let me delete this file for you because this is a case study I wanted to do. So you have 11 months of file with you, and he wants to know the report of 11 months. And another objective is that once you get the 12th month file, as soon as you copy that 12th month file, which is sitting over here, and you paste that into this 11th month, your charts which you have developed, the entire report which you have developed gets automatically updated. It will take me 10 minutes to do this case study. This is the last case study we are going to do. This is going to be really complex, and I'm not going to repeat this, but I will go very, very slow so that you can go back and watch in YouTube. This is something which needs real attention because this is a most important feature of Power Query. With Power Pivot, we are going to show you how to create connections and graphs and work this around. Ready? So what I will do is that if I have this folder with me, I'll open an Excel, a plain simple Excel with me. Let me open an Excel for you and make sure that you all see this screen. Let me see. Yes, you are. So this is a plain simple Excel. I will go into data as such. I'll go into get data from file, and this time I don't know the file because I've got 11 files in a folder. So what I will do is that I go back to that folder, copy that location. I'll copy this location as Control C. Go back to this Excel, get data from file from folder. See, you can take a file from the website also, from database also. There's so many, from XML, from JSON, but I want this file from folder. I'll click over here. I'll paste the path over here, Control V. Okay. It again opens up the Power Query editor for me. Let me see if this is shared. Yes. And if you see over here, all my 11 files, 11 Excel files are listed for me. But this is not what I want. I want the data inside all these 11 files to come up together as one single file. That's my objective. I want all the data of all these 11 files to come as a single file. How will I do that? I can go back and do, so there are 4 different functions over here. I can simply load this file, which is not what I want to do. I can combine files. Yes, this is what I want to do. Or I can transform data. Now, just to make you understand of hitting though it is not going to work out here. As soon as I hit transform data, it's going to open my Power Query editor. And here, if I want to do any changes by applying any cleaning process, I can do that. But right now, I don't need any cleaning on these files. I want data. And those data inside these files. If you see over here, there's an option called combine files. I can click here and do it. Or I could have done it in the first screen where there was an option of combine. I click on this, and this is so powerful. As soon as I click this, all the data of all these 11 files will become a single table. See, it is working right now. And in the right, if you see, it is coming up as a screen over here. It is giving me 2 options, whether you want a table or you want a sheet. Now, why sheet is there? If I hit table, it is showing me my data right now over here. Now, why sheet is important? Imagine a situation where you have an Excel where you have all this month as a separate sheet, and you want to combine all the sheet into a single table, into a single file. You know, there were questions in my earlier session that is it important that all the headers needs to be same? Yes, for better reasons. But if you have a separate header on a different sheet or on a different file, it will also get combined. So let's say you have 5 columns in one table, and you have another 5 plus an extra 6 over there. The combined file will have 6 columns with the data of the second file of the 6 columns. So basically trying to combine all the data into one single file. So if you have common data, then your work is easy. So in this case, we are using table, and I hit OK. As soon as I do that, it will start working. Now this is going to take a while. It's evaluating the query, and it is creating this as a table. Watch, the entire table is created with table 1. This is file number 1. It has taken, and it has taken file number 2, file number 3, all the file it has taken. All the data is right now in front of me. What I need to do now is I'll say close and load to. And it's trying to load this file. Now this time, a little advanced, I'm not going to put this data into a table that we have learned. I'm not going to do a pivot chart right now because I wanted to know the GL code of this file. So I'm going to call one more file into this. I'm sorry, it's little advanced. I had to do this for those, I promised a lot of pros over here that I'll try to give you some advanced study. I'll create a connections, which means I don't want this data to be thrown. All this data of all these 11 files not to be thrown into a table, but I just want a connection, which means I want that to be within the connection, all the data, so that if I call the second file, I can create a connection between these two. So I'll create a connection, and I also want a pivot chart for this. So I will add this data to a data model, create connection and add this data, which means my data will not be loaded right into Excel, but it is creating connections over here. See on the right hand side, it is now working, and it has pulled 1770 data for me, which is pulling all the data from all those 11 files, and it has created the connection for me, which is right now over here. Boom, done. Now what I want the second file which has the GL code. Let me get that data also from file, from workbook, because that's a single file. And I will paste the location, Control V, enter, go up. And this is my GL code file. I want this file to be also be coming into this connection so that I can map these two files and I can create a connection and build my report. So this file is having the animal type and the GL code. I'll go back and I will transform this data. Why will I need to transform this data? I'll share with you. This data file doesn't have a header. So I need to make this first row as a header, which options I already have it over here. Use first row as header. I'll click on that. Now this first row has become the header. This is what I want. My service code is as equals to the animal type in the first file which I had. If I map this service code with the animal type in my first file, I'll get my GL code. I will load this Excel. I don't need to do anything more on this. I will load this Excel, again create a connection and add this to a data model. In this way, you can add multiple files. So 222 rows got loaded from this file, 1770 rows loaded from this file. Boom. Now what I will do, I'll go to Power Pivot, and now I want to create connections between both the files. So I'll hit Manage. Now you see over here, I get both the sheet. One sheet is my first file, which has all the data from 11 files, and the second sheet has my GL code into it. I'll go to my diagram view, and I'll see all the GL, all the headers of both the files. I need to map this animal type with this service code, right? Because these both are one and the same. So I'll simply click this and paste it in the service code and establish a connection between these two. Done. Once done, I've done on this, I'll go back to my pivot table, hit pivot table, and I can hit pivot table and open a worksheet over here. Okay. See, my first worksheet is there, the same pivot table with all the sheets in front of me right now with me. Now all I can do is I can again go back, as I said, go to drag and drop interface, done. And then simply I'll take the GL code and paste it over here. All my GL codes are here. I can go back and take the grand total and paste it as a column over here. So now it is taking the total of all the 11 data. Now if I also want so this pivot table is already there with me. I can also create the chart over here. But the interesting part is that I've got 11,18,108. I've got 11,18,108 as a data. Let me format this a little bit for you. I don't want to make it very crazy. So this is a report of 11 files, a single journal entry, a single report. I can create as many pivot report as I want. I just wanted to show you how it works. Now what happens is, if at all I need to do is that if I go back to my folder, now this is my folder, right? Let me see if this is shared. Yes, this is my folder. And all I did is I copied this December month, Control C, right? And go back into the sales by month and just paste this data over here. Whatever exercise, imagine I've developed 5 or 10 reports, 5 or 10 different data, and I just pasted this data over here. I come back to this Excel. Let me see if this is shared right now with you. Yes. I have 11,18,108.25. I just go in and refresh this data. I go in and refresh this. It loads everything. It loads, and it brings the 12th month data right into this GL code. I don't need to perform all these actions again and again for all of them, so that, this is an automated function. I can also do the same thing by, going into pivot tables, Power Pivot, and I can do the similar process for creating a pivot chart also. And the data of the chart will be automatically updated just the same way I did it in this. So if I go back to the folder and I remove this folder, Control X, I delete this file, the 12th file, I have this 12th file over here. I create a pivot chart, a very simple pivot chart. If I create, by taking the source name over here and the grand total over here. If this is the chart I had, see, this chart is actually called because my queries is there. If I refresh the query, refresh data, it removes my 12th month data. Now it is showing me only 11th month of data. And now if I go back, and place that file which I had, Control C, and paste it over here, my 12th month, even my chart will be updated. If I go back and refresh this data, it will pull up the 12th month data for me. See, 1 to 12. So this is the power of Power Query. I was trying my best to cover in these 2 days all the important Excel features which you need to go back and practice. I'll spend another 10 or 15 minutes on answering individual questions. So if anyone wants me to show something within this time, I have a conference, another conference at 5:30, 5:35. So I have 15 minutes of my time. I'll be happy to answer as many questions as you have. Thank you all so much. Over to Rahul.
Yes, Bhaiya. How can I convert figure of worksheet into lakhs?
They are different. Again, VBA code available. You just need to go and find those code, and you can write a macro for that, which will call that functions and convert that into a worksheet. See, there can be 100 different questions on these particular things, but let's stick to what we have learned today.
Cool. Can you quickly show us to assign a button?
Yeah, I can show that. Let me open that macro. Just 1 second.
Yeah, you need to share your screen also so that.
I will do that. I will do that. Once I open that, I'll definitely do that.
Thank you.
So, okay, let me share the screen. We were doing over here is we are trying to record a macro. So let me record the macro for you. Delete data. You need to have a macro. Once you have the macro, then you can assign it. Sorry, I have this. Let me stop recording. Record again. Your macro. Let me delete this. And let's do it again. Delete. And I stop the recording. You can go over here. I can always, run this data. This macro is perfect. I can assign a button to this by saying that go to developer tab. There's an option called insert. Under insert, there's a design button. You select this button, you click on that and you assign this macro. You assign the macro which you have created. Whatever macro you have created, you need to assign that macro so that when you click that button, Excel knows that which macro that button is running. You hit OK, and then you can name this button the way you want. Now, if you click this button, your data is deleted. Yes, Mayur, any other questions?
No, but I don't see much. There is one request from one user.
I see a question from Rakesh Kumar Jha. In Power Query, different month GL are not same. Can it work? Yes. See, combined files is basically, as I said, if you have different columns in different things, then it becomes multiple columns. But the challenge is, you will get null value for the columns where you don't have the data. But it's not going to delete any of your data. It's trying to combine multiple data into a single file. So it becomes multi-column and multiple rows, a big worksheet, which data which were not there in other worksheet will become null over there. You can do that.
Delegates are asking if there will be a written sheet with the steps for practice, which can be shared with them.
No, there is no written sheet for this. You can always go to YouTube and can see that. But if you
Maybe
want, I
Bhaiya,
can
if you want,
this case study
maybe
file.
Bhaiya, if you can share some existing resources, maybe some URLs or something.
Yeah, I will do that. I will share this file to you, Rahul. You can email or you can upload that into YouTube and Facebook.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Any more
Yes,
queries?
for the macro to run Rakesh requires the same format because then it will understand the link, the connections. If that function and the connection is not there, then it will not give you the same result. But the data can be different. Do you have any questions on the Facebook?
There was one from some time back. Okay, there is one question from Manish Agarwal. What's the option to convert numericals into words? There's a function for that, Bhaiya.
There's a function for that. I don't
There's a
remember
function for
that
that.
right now,
You
but
can
those are
do an
functions.
easy, yes, you can do an easy Google lookup and you'll be able to find it. It's
All these things which you're looking for, you always get the functions and the VBA code to do all of this. The idea over here is to show you how you can take use of VBA code to make many processes which you work upon. So you can also go back and check the VBA code for any of these features which you're looking for, how to round off, how to convert number into
correct.
and all. So all of these you have VBA code available.
Okay, Anirvan Bhattacharya asked, this is a question from 50 minutes back, from the earlier, before you started macros and all. Can, I think you were showing us what ifs or something.
Right.
Can I use VLOOKUP with true instead of if
Yes.
for this?
Yes, you can do that. See, VLOOKUP with true function is basically very important to show a range. I don't have the case study right now with me. If I get that, I will upload that for you as well. I'll send it to you. But if you have a range wherein from zero, then instead of writing multiple if command, you can use VLOOKUP with true functions, and that is very helpful.
Yeah.
So,
and for everyone's reference, we are not going to share anything separately today. Whatever files which Sanjeev ji is going to share with us, we are going to upload in the same folder as earlier. So you need to go to the earlier link only, and you'll be able to find the new files there. Maybe not in the next couple of hours, but definitely by today, later today evening or by tomorrow, you will definitely have those.
thank you, Bhaviji. Thank you, Vikas. Thank you, Anaga.
Excel boats, but yeah, there's a request from Rakesh Kumar Jha.
Sorry?
There's a request from Rakesh Kumar Jha on doing any webinar on Excel boats.
So I am not aware of Excel boats. Yes, I'm planning to do a webinar on Power BI, which is the next version of Power Query that, today we have seen how we can convert a Power Query into a pivot chart. Next version is to, once we know how to do a Power Query, we can take that into Power BI, and that's much bigger and much robust visualization tool, a product of Microsoft, how you can create wonderful charts and figures through Power BI. So that's my next plan. Hopefully I'll be coming up with next week or maybe a week after that. So stay tuned. I'll keep you guys informed on that. But Power BI is a Microsoft Office product. And those who have never used Power BI, I can tell you again at the cost of repetition, Power BI, Python, R is the future of all the young and energetic chartered accountant. It is going to be a great tool for everyone.
I guess that's it, Bhaiya.
Yes, Swakshar has last question is saying, once we close the Excel file, will the macro function still work? Yes, if you save that macro and you go into your file save option, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you that. You have to save that as a macro enabled workbook, which is Excel SM. To do that, that macro for that particular Excel file would remain there. You don't need to create macro every time. If you make it an Excel enabled macro file, that macro will remain with that Excel file. And whenever you open that file, it will allow you to enable it. If you enable it, that macro is still active.
I believe I want to ask whether this can be utilized in other Excel files.
No,
it is
no.
saved.
No, one macro for that particular Excel will be only used in that particular Excel file, not in any other Excel.
You'll have to recreate it or something. There's no templated format. Of course, you can copy paste, make a replica of that, and then you can.
Yeah, VBA code is as good as a VBA code. We go and copy that VBA code and we can use it in any other Excel file we want. But try use more and more macro in your actual workings. You know, this will give you so much of motivation. If you see that I'm spending, 3 hours on a particular project and just writing a macro has saved me 1 hour of my time, that will give you motivation to learn more and more. So,
Cool. I think that's it, Bhaiya. So we will, since you have another meeting in
Yeah, I have a
5
session
minutes
at
time,
5:30.
so we will have to wrap it up here. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining today on behalf of VIP Chartered Accountants Study Circle. I thank Sanjeev Bhaiya for giving us 2 days, 3 hours of excellent training on Excel. I'm sure that all of us are going away enriched with him sharing his experience and knowledge. And I'm sure it has left us more curious about what more Excel can do for us. So let's keep learning. There are lots of other resources online. You can always reach out to Sanjeev Bhaiya. He's always there for us to help. So friends, with this, I would like to thank Sanjeev Bhaiya on behalf of Charter Road Study Circle and as well as for every attendant here. So
and I'd like to thank Rahul and Mayur for a wonderful coordination of getting this together. And thanks to all the participants who had, given me the opportunity to share my knowledge and experience. There's no one who is perfect into this. We are just trying to learn something and trying to share our knowledge to everyone. That's the whole objective of this lockdown. So thank you all so much.
thank you, everyone. Stay safe and
Thank you.
look after
Thank you all.
Thank
Thanks
you.
everyone. Bye.